Hello everyone, this is Boricua Binks and welcome back to Let's Play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where we are now in the fourth case of the game, and we're going to be continuing on the adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Okay, I believe we finished discussing things with Inspector Gregson, and so now we are going to be heading over. A new location has been added. As you can see, we are in Briar Road. We've already went to speak to the Lord Chief Justice. We went to the prison. So now we'll be going to 221B Baker Street, the home and office of the most famous detective in the world. Can we really visit, do you think? Oh, pinch me. I'm sure I must be dreaming. Holmes is sweet. Oh boy. Oh, Holmes, are you home? Little cutscene. Here we go.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Okay, a lot of plants up there. Oh, it looks so cozy. Oh, yes, I'm so excited for this. I still have this, like, I've become more fond of this version of Sherlock. Although, of course, he's really not as true to the original character as I would like, but at the same time, he's definitely more Ace Attorney-ified. So he's entertaining for sure. All right, February 19th, 12:53 p.m. Holmes' suite. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Oh, I see the violin. Oh, this is different. Normally, he doesn't have all that mechanical stuff there, so that's definitely different. He definitely would have, like, you know, the scientific flasks, like chemistry stuff. He would have that, but he definitely wouldn't have all that machinery. So that's interesting. Is it as described in the stories, Mr. Sato? Mr. Sato-san, are you okay? You having a moment there? Many, many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I've never read the stories, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So, if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please don't mind me. She's obsessed. She reminds me of me in a way. Like, if Sherlock Holmes was a real person, I would be like that. I'd be such a big fan. Well, It looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Then how did you get let into the room? Excuse me, is anybody home? Can anybody just walk in? Is this who I think it is?
Oh, do we have a visitor?
Yes, it's our...
Hello? Is it a big new case for Mr. Holmes?
Hello? Wait. Aren't you...
Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once.
I'm sure it's the same girl. Mr. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here?
Oh, yes. Isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Holmes to take on his case.
The King of Bowaria?
King Wilhelm Gottsrich
Sigismund von Ormstein? Okay, wait. Wilhelm Gottsreich, maybe. Because I think with German names they say Gottsreich. They say Reich. Sigismund von Ormstein. Oh god, that's hard to say. Of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank and Binks can't handle saying a name that long. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a moment and look over there.
The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Oh, it's you.
I knew it. Susato-san recognizes her too. Yes, her cute music.
Ah, there you are.
And she scolded her.
And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
She's so cute. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilded's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Oh, yes, it was challenging.
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Oh, thank you? Is tea supposed to look that color?
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see? You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow.
Ticklish?
Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck.
Oh, she knows everything, huh?
Did Mr. Holmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know...
Hurley? Okay, I'm assuming that would be Shirley then.
Oh, you know Shirley, do you?
Shirley? Mr. Holmes to you, Shirley. Shirley. Got it.
Mr. Holmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Shirley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think?
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Holmes's suite? Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson.
Which is supposed to be Watson, I believe.
I live here together with Shirley.
Iris, is it? What a lovely name. It's a very popular name, isn't it? Thinking about Iris. There always has to be an Iris, huh? What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Watson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden?
Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, no, Susato. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you.
Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it.
Runo? No. Susie? And Runo? It's Ryu. There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Alright, let's talk, little girl. Although I do want to look around. Can we look around, or do we have to talk first? I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. Lingering beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance in the grate. Ah, it's so relaxing. We can't relax, not when there are so many interesting things on the mantelpiece. Oh, it's just as I was described in the stories. It is? Yes, exactly. Inside that Persian slipper, for example.
Oh, my chocolates for elevensies.
Elevenses? What? And transfixed by that large jackknife
Is my shopping list for the market.
Oh, it's not quite how I remember it being described in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Poor Susato-san, she looks crushed. Okay. A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection. This is the first time in my life that I've seen a lonely old shoe displayed as an ornament.
Oh, those are all mementos that Shelley has collected from his past cases.
Really? Even the bust?
Yes, that's right. When the maid takes him, he likes to throw it on the floor and smash it to dust.
The poor, defenseless emperor? Mr. Holmes destroys it?
Yes, and then he buys a new one.
What? You make it sound like he has the temperament of an insane sculptor. Haha, very true.
Ah, how entrancingly bohemian of him.
Well, he has an interesting temperament, I tell ya.
Tea?
Looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. It seems very sturdy, with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion?
Oh, that chest contains some of my most valuable things.
And that smile tells me you're not going to give us any clue about what they are. I mean, I guess it's none of our frickin' business now, is it? Books? I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Okay, whatever. There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot is gonna topple at any moment.
I keep telling Shirley not to cram so much on those shelves.
Good advice.
He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago, but it was so tightly wedged in he couldn't get it out. So he went and bought a new copy instead.
That's not the best thing to do. Okay. Let's look over here. His violin. Ah, I've seen pictures of Western musical instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it?
Of course it is. Mr. Holmes is renowned for his violin playing.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. It's often explained in the stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruhodo. Inspirational. I immediately started playing the koto, which was the closest Japanese stringed instrument I could find.
What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London.
Oh, yes, well, Papa was beaming when I asked him if he would buy me one. But after a while he asked if I would only practice when he was out of the house.
Ooh, yikes.
So now it's merely an ornament in my room.
That must have been an awkward conversation.
Achievement unlocked, second-rate strings. Oh, okay. I think it really is... Let's see, what else? Not even the skull? Oh, okay. Got nothing to say about that, huh? Guess we'll talk about this.
What on earth is this huge, over-the-top machine?
That's the Great Analytoscope. It can analyze anything, really. Anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. It's one of Shirley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigations. What sort of things has he analyzed with it? Do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet.
Oh, so it's just sitting there. Why not?
Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him. I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh dear. How about you, Runo? Do you have anything you'd like to analyze?
The only thing that springs to mind is this machine itself. Okay. Why are we calling him Runo? It's Ryuno. Ryunosuke. Nothing here? Really? Papers? No? That it? Yes, so much stuff that I think they just were like, no, we don't want to talk about all of this. We don't want to talk about all of these. Alright, I guess that's it. Alrighty then. Let's chat with her. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey.
Yes, that's right. You was ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming.
Though at the time we did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
Don't worry, mine is much bigger. Like this.
No. She just loves threatening people with it, doesn't she?
Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade.
Oh, Ginny? Yes, she's a professional pickpocket.
So we found out.
It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption?
Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Huh. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
This girl is dangerous. Yes, she is.
Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that. so she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Sorry, your technician.
Shirley, of course, silly.
Shirley?
Yes, Sherlock. Sherlock Holmes. We live here together.
I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Shirley if he was my father, would I?
Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Holmes?
Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate.
Your roommates? That's a bit strange. I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you?
10 at last this year.
Well, what of your mother and father?
Oh no, they're not around.
But isn't Watson your dad? Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Yeah, let's talk about your last name. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you.
Of course, of course. Go ahead, Susie.
I am a very great fan of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes and...
Oh, you have a copy of Ranced magazine.
Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship.
Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world.
Your stories? What? Your father doesn't write them? My stories? You're so young to be doing all of this.
That's right. Shirley is always solving such amazing cases, you see? And he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think?
Goodness.
Last night he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came.
How much lies is it going to be filled with? So you are the author?
Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure The Speckled Band.
The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar.
Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there.
To give him more praise.
This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble.
Which is how it was in the original story. Oh, that was Mr. Holmes's first thought as well, actually.
Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... it's a story! Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think. Don't you?
So, do you mean to say... are the stories about Mr. Holmes that are published in Ranced magazine...
all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter.
But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, by Dr. John H. Watson. Sato-san's getting more and more worked up.
Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Watson.
But what about the doctor of medicine part?
That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine despite only being 10 years old.
Because this is frickin' Ace Attorney world, and what does age mean, right? It's just a number. What the frick? No, at 10 years old? What the hell?
At 10 years old?
Well, that's quite incredible and ridiculous. Dr. Watson is an English gentleman.
Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling.
Oh,
Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow.
so does... But we saw your father. Or we saw... I mean, he died, but... Why have they ruined and changed everything? I'm sad. Stupid Ace Attorney, why you do this to me? They always have to have a little girl doing very adult things, and I'm just like, why? I suppose it does, yes. Poor Susato-san. She looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. I feel you, girl. I feel you. Oh, Ace Attorney, why are you like this? Your deductions just now. About before.
Yes, yes. What's on your mind, Reno? Do you tell me?
How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail.
Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Watson is proud to present her Logic and Reasoning Spectacular.
Oh? Oh? This is like this is like Sherlock's stance of deduction.
First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber.
But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh,
So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted the case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs.
the Reaper of the Bailey. I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with a suspect, weren't you? Earlier today.
Ah,
They used those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see.
I didn't realize.
And the red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates.
Oh.
So that told me that even though you had only arrived yesterday, or that you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face. So I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see.
But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Shirley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling.
A Japanese man. Well, clearly that must have been... Mr. Natsume.
Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Shirley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. both came here to ask Shirley about the case.
Not bad, girl, not bad.
There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Shirley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. You silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Watson, and that was one of my great deductions.
She's very good. And she didn't make any mistakes, unlike Sherlock. She gives Pearl a run for her money, that's for sure, because Pearl is very good too. But Pearl still has the child side of her, that she does make little mistakes, you know, and she's a little ignorant of certain things. But Iris seems to know everything, and she seems very, very put together and mature for her age, so we'll see if she shows any of this childish side, other than calling people the nicknames. I mean, that's about it, I guess.
Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct?
They were spot on.
That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction.
You even managed a certain something of Mr. Holmes's delivery.
Oh, well, I was just copying Shirley's style for that.
This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please. Okay. So yesterday, Mr. Holmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying?
Yes. Shirley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene.
The great detective is a popular man, it seems.
Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene.
A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. Soseki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all.
Shirley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man shivering in fear.
Mr. Holmes's great deduction certainly hit the mark that time.
Of course it did. He's a great detective.
Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it?
Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Shirley says that London is rife with crime.
Oh.
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it apparently.
Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire.
That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person.
That sucks. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is. But in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Soseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
Oh, she did the blushing thing, kind of like Pearl. She's so cute. Do you happen to know where Mr. Holmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well.
Ah, well, I expect Shirley is still investigating the scene.
Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, Mr. Natsume? Shirley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there.
Iris, do you know where those lodgings are?
Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there?
Yes, we know Inspector Gregson.
Ah, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
That's a cute little stationery. Looks like it has a quarter on there. What is this?
A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems.
We have to buy him. Bribe him. Probably like, go get yourself some more of your beloved food. Alright. It reads, tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem. Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Bribery. Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. She's so cute.
Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon.
We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime. Alright. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. To be continued. Perfect, perfect. Just perfect. I need a break. Alrighty, well thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this, and until next time, have a nice day. Bye bye!